Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're well and having a beautiful day. Well, have you ever struggled with your borders? Have you ever wondered, what is the best way to finish my quilt? What is the best way that I can carry on to show the creativity within the quilt right towards the end? Well, today I want you to challenge yourself with me. Join me in creating a applique for the quilt. I think it's a brilliant idea to expand your knowledge. Sometimes I do feel that when you do a quilt along, the end of the quilt, the borders lack character. It lacks excitement, and all we've really got to look forward to is just putting on this solid border of the fabric that we've chosen to the end. So I thought today, let's challenge ourselves. Let's bring some creativity. Let's not let the learning stop with our vintage style quilt along, and make it a masterpiece so that we can be proud of when we look back. This quilt is not for you to give away. This quilt is a quilt that you're going to use and love and cherish forever, because you are going to put all of your creativity, all of your masterpiece into this one particular quilt, and the borders are no exception. So grab all your fabrics, grab your excitement, and let's get started. Alright, so I have some pieces cut out here, but I wanted to demonstrate that to you first. Now, because I haven't got my adhesive paper for applique, what I am going to do basically is to draw it out on the paper. Now, I'm pretty good at drawing these things. I wouldn't say pretty good. I'm okay at drawing in the sense that I've been doing it for a long time. I used to be a pastry chef, so sort of drawing leaves or the shape of a leaf on pastry was, you know, relatively okay for me to do. So it's sort of transferable skills. Nevertheless, I'm just going to show to you what I usually do. Hopefully you can make it out. I'm thinking I may adjust the camera a little bit more closer so that you can really see what I am doing. So that looks alright. So all I am doing, and I'm demonstrating on paper so that you get the idea, but normally I will draw it onto the fabric itself. So you're going to just do some circles. Try and just keep it consistent in size so that they all look the same. So that's that. It's just a circle there, right? The next one, I'm just going to do a leaf shape, and again, this sort of reminds me of if I'm doing like a plume or something for quilting. But however you want to do your leaf shape. Let me try. So something like that. It doesn't have to be neat, alright? And it doesn't have to be small. I'm going to do another one again. The wider it is, the better. Probably not the best example. Alright, so just keep it as simple as possible. Alright, so I'm going to take some fabric, and I'm just going to draw it on the back of the fabric. And one of the ways, let me get a smaller piece. So for example, if you've got scraps of this size, it's perfect. So all I'm going to do basically is using the shape of the square to help me get my leaf shape. So I'm going to start at the point, and I'm going to use the width and come back in. So let me show you that. So all I've done basically, hopefully you can make it out. Yeah, I've used the size of, so I've started in the corner there, and I've worked my way just around to curve it. I'll do the other side so that you can make it out. And you can make it as wide or as large, small as you want. Okay, and you can even go over the shape and adjust it. So like so. Yes, I've used a square. Rather than go into the corner of the square, I've just literally curved it so to get a leaf shape. Alright, and then all I'm going to do from here is using my little scissors, I'm just going to cut it out. And remember, I'm doing this on the wrong side. And I'm not using a H erasable pen, it's an ordinary pen because it's on the wrong side. And there you go, you've got a leaf shape. Alright, so same, I've done some brown, I have done some green. Alright, but it's up to you, whatever colors. I've done a light brown also, just so that I can mix it around. And when it came for just a circle that I did, when I did the circle, all I did is the same thing, draw a circle on the fabric and just cut it out. And I have some that looks like this. Alright, now what I am going to do also is for some of those, sort of turn them into petals. So the circle will go in the middle of the flower, so to speak. So I've tried to make like a petal shape. So rather than make a circle, I've kind of elongate that circle. And then I've made a little bit at the bottom where I've sort of chopped it off and make it square. But you'll understand once you see it closer on the actual design. So let me show you now how to achieve the applique. Hopefully you've understood that. Alright, so we're going to put the appliques to the side for the moment. What we're going to concentrate on is making the stem. I have a square here that I already cut in half, and I've used half already. And so it's on the bias. Now this is important if you are going to do the applique border. You need to make sure you cut the stem on the bias so that it's stretchy. So you can see how it folds over. Once I bend it, you can see how stretchy it is. Alright, I have a piece here that's cut on the straight grain just to show you the difference. See, it's not stretching as much. Yes, there's a little bit of give, but we really need this very stretchy here so that it must be cut into bias. So all I've done, as I said, this is just a square of any fabric that you so wish for your applique, and you just cut it from point to point. All right, and that way you reveal the bias in the middle. So I think I initially cut it 2 inches, so I'm going to cut 2 inches away from the edge, and I'm going to show you how to make the stem, which is very easy to do. So using a rotary cutter. Now what I'm going to say is that with my rotary cutter I have really sharp blades in. They're titanium blades, and I mentioned this in my previous video, and the reason I mention is because for me, I know I'm always sort of late in changing my blade, and what usually happens that it gets dull very quickly. As you know, I use my blade quite a lot. Okay, he's done cutting. I use my blade quite a lot, and so I have these here from Fabric Hut. Okay, and they are 45mm rotary titanium blades, and you get 10 in a pack. They come in a pack of 20, so 10 and 10 in the other pack. And the company I ordered it off of I emailed them and asked them to actually give me a discount code that I can share with you guys. obviously I mentioned that I have a YouTube channel, and so they did reach out and agree to what I was requesting. So I would literally just kind of sharing with you how brilliant they actually work. I have been using my blade for quite some time now, and I just thought you can save money in the long run. The offer they've given me to give you, I think, is $37 for 20, when normally they are $75. So it's a pretty good deal. Pretty good deal. I'm trying to open it. There you go. It's a pretty good deal. So it actually says fabric hut on them also. So definitely get yourself one. It's really good value. Really good value. All right, so what I'm going to do now is cut 2 inches. I will put the details, a link in the description box down below, so that you could get a hold of these as well. So again, I'm going to do another cut. I'm going to get 2 out of this, hopefully. I mean, the more you have, the better. I mean, the bigger the rectangle or the square, whatever it is, as long as you've cut from the bias. So all I have done basically is to use it and to fold it edge to edge, as you see me doing here. And I'm just going to finger press. Ideally, it would be best to use the iron, which I think I will probably get out. It will be easier. So you just finger press just so that you keep it shape, and you can see how it's bending already, and that's the objective you want here, for it to be very flexible and to be able to stretch. Now if we were to use a straight grain, actually this is cut wrong. It's not 2 inches, it's 1.5. I just remembered as I pick up the straight grain to demonstrate. So I'm going to cut this down only because I want it to remain consistent with the other widths. I've already made 2, as I said, and so I don't want to make it any wider than necessary. So try not to make that mistake like I just did. I'm only just wasting the fabric, to be honest. So I'm just trimming it down so that I have it consistent. And notice how beautiful and clean my cuts are, because normally when I am cutting, I usually have problems with my blades because I don't change regularly, and I'm usually like, you know, forcing it through or having to go back. I don't have to do that in this case because the blade is really lovely and sharp. So be very careful once you're using them. So what I'm going to do now is get the iron out and literally iron this so that you can see what I'm referring to. Alright, so what I'm going to do to get this going, I am going to fold it towards the ends. Alright, in fact, now I'm going to fold it towards the middle, my apologies. And I'm going to do a nice iron on there just to get that stain into one place. And then I'm going to fold it over yet again, just to meet that raw edge so it's lovely and tidy. And notice as I am ironing and putting the steam on, it's literally bending into the shape that I want. It's quite hot. This little iron is so powerful. I'm just trying to make sure I get it edge to edge. And I'm adding some steam to it. And all I'm doing is allowing it to bend into shape, to twist it the way how a vine would be. Okay? So I'm happy with that shape there. Alright? Now, as it's still warm, you can, you know, manipulate it a little bit so that it stays the way you want to. Get yourself that nice curve. And I'm just going to press it one more time. Now that's what the bias does. It gives you that really nice curve so you can lay it on the fabric. Alright, now let's look at the one with the straight grain. I'll just put it to the side there for a minute. Let's look at the one with the straight grain now and see if it actually gives that manipulation of the fabric as easy as. I'm not saying it won't work, but I think you'll get a better arc shape with the bias rather than the straight of grain. And look, it still remains straight. Alright, so we're just going to fold it over again and get it all neat and tidy, edge to edge. Add that steam. Ideally, if you've only got it straight grain, you could use the actual steam to bend it into shape, as I am doing here. But obviously your fingers are going to get a little bit of steam on it. So I'm going to try that again and just really look at how I'm having to put my fingers down on it, whereas the other one I didn't really have to do that. But yeah, so it's easier just to do it on the bias. Alright, so this is the straight of grain and this is the bias, a lot more easier. Now what I'm going to do now is to add some zigzag stitch on there. Now this is going to be a raw edge applique. So the objective is really to stitch zigzag, the tiniest zigzag stitch that you like on both sides of your stem here. Okay, once you've done that, then we're ready to move on to the next stage. What I would say though is to practice your zigzag stitch on your sewing machine before you get started, so that you're happy with the size that you are going to use. This is what I'm going to applique onto. Now this is 12.5, so I've taken the 12.5 measurement from the strip or the width of my blocks. That's it. And we'll be making 8 in total, so 8 of these. So we are doing the applique into smaller sections, and I'm going to show you how it's going to be laid out as an example. Okay, so I'm just pressing here just to make sure it's lovely and it's nice and neat. Now to make this a little bit more structured, I'll just give you an option here. If you want, you can add some of this behind it just to give it a little bit more structured. So this obviously it's a glue based, I don't know what's wrong with me today, but my brain escapes me yet again. But this is glue base. It just gives it a little bit more stability. So useful for when you're doing applique, etc. In all honesty, I haven't used it, but only because I forgot. And when I did remember, I was like, oh, the fabric is coping well without it. Right, so just a little bit of lining at the back just to give it a little bit of stabilization, and you can just simply iron it on like so, and I'll show it to you. You just get the iron literally on the part, but I would literally cut this off first. Now you can peel it off after. You don't necessarily need to keep it on there. After you've done the applique, you can cut around it, or you can leave it on. It's entirely down to you. But as I said, I haven't used it and it hasn't really made a huge difference, but it does offer a bit of stability to the appliquing process. Okay, right, so what I will demonstrate as for you so that you can see. So again, it just offers us a little bit more stability, whereas if I were to use it without, I'm trying to find the other one, to use it without, it's literally just the fabric that you have with you. Makes it a little bit, where did the other one go? I think it's on the table already. No. All right. Did I drop it on the floor? Well, that's interesting. I thought I had it all here with me. It must be underneath here then. Yes, there it is. Right, so see, without it's a little bit flimsy. With it, it's a lot more stable. But as I said, it's really down to you. I have made 2 already without it, and it's okay. All right, but it's a design choice, you know, for you. But all of this, the 8 is actually 12, and it's 5 by 12 and a half. All right, if you want to do this can be any size. This is again a design choice. It's entirely up to you. The size is entirely up to you. If you wanted to make the whole length of your quilt top, top and bottom size, etc., without doing it into pieces, as I have done, you can do that, but I have chosen just to do the corners, and again I will demonstrate that how it looks to you on the quilt. So what I'm going to do is to take the one with the bias on it, and I'm simply going to lay it down on the fabric here that I want. Now I don't want it straight like that. All right, yes, there are stems that shoots up straight, but we want something with a little bit of, you know, eye appeal. It looks a bit more as a design choice in reference to, you know, you taking your time and how you want it. So I'm going to, you know, adjust that curve like so on my fabric here. So I'm just curving it there just to give it, I don't want a big deep curve like so. I don't want that. Okay, just a gentle curve to show a little bit of artistic flair to it. That's all. Okay, so what I'm going to do is to just take some smaller pins and just pin it in place. Okay, so one thing you need to decide on is you have to make sure that for the end it sticks out, and that will make sense to you in a moment once I have stitched it all on. Okay, so I'm just going to pin that there, and then for the rest of it I am actually going to stop short. And you're wondering, well, why? And again, that will make sense to you once I start to demonstrate once I am doing. All right, so I'm just going to pin it there in place. So I think that's a bit of a good curve there. So what I've done is to just take the small pins and just pin it on so that it sort of stays, and I'm happy with that curve. I don't want it too deep or too rounded. I think that's a gentle, nice gentle curve. So what I'm going to do is to take my scissors and I'm just going to cut it short right in the middle there, as close as possible to that pin. All right, now what I did initially was to did my applique onto this first. So I am going to applique, I'm going to applique this on, okay, on both sides, and then I'll come back and show it to you. Now remember what I said, very important, is to get an example first of your applique stitch. So your zigzag stitch, how wide, how small, how big you want it, and once you've done that, then you can go all the way around down on each side. Now very important, you need to use the same color as your stem here. Now I will make this omission one as I'm here now. I use green thread for my stem, however I did continue to use my green stem on all of my other pieces. So on my leaves, on my brown leaves, my green leaves, my orange, you know, buds, everything I used the green for. I didn't change it because I thought there was quite a lot of changing in color that I would have had to have done, and that's basically just to hide it, okay, to hide the applique. I am okay with showing the green zigzag stitches on my applique pieces that's not green. That's another informed decision that you have to make. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, stitch this, and I will be back. All right, so here I am at the machine to demonstrate to you how to do the zigzag stitch. So remember, this is a raw edge applique, and I have done a little sample stitches here just so that I'm aware of how wide I want to go and how close to the end I want to go. I have settled for the smallest, tiniest one in the corner down here, and I've used the green thread just to make sure that I remember to change. All right, so I have my stitch here, my sheet here with my stabilizer at the back, and the 12 by 5, 12 and a half by 5, and I have cut it as I stated, and I'm going to line it up. Notice I've changed my feet so I have enough room to do a zigzag stitch, which is the zigzag stitch feet. I mean, as long as you've got any foot and it's got enough room for the machine, for the needle to go move backwards or forward, sideways, then you're good to go. I'm going to layer it down right to the end of my stem, press my feet down, and I'm going to take small increments of stitches. Notice I've removed my pin so I don't get anything sort of notched in the way, and I'm just going to stitch very slowly, trying to cover that edge. Now with the stem, the raw edge of the fabric is covered, so we just got the folded edge, but the objective here is to stitch the two components together. And just take your time and just maneuver small movements so that you can go around the edge. Just take your time all the way through. I can see, I stopped because I can see the fabric sort of sticking up into between, and I want it to be flat. So again, this is not about it being perfectly neat. Just take your time. That's all it is. As long as you stitch it down, that's how I look at it. Remember, these negatives that you make a blow up about is not important. In the overall presentation of the quilt, you don't see those imperfections. And ideally, I do not call them imperfections. I call them my creative streaks, you know? That's just the way I do things. I'm not saying do it so obvious that you can blatantly see it's a mistake. That's not what I'm saying. So just take your time and go all the way down. This goes by relatively quickly. And again, I'm going to remove my pin, holding it in the position that I want. That's it. Now I'm going to just leave it attached. Well, I've already cut the thread. It's such a habit, isn't it? And just continue on the other side all the way down. Oh no, I didn't cut it, it's there. So line up yet again. I usually start to line up just a little bit way off the background fabric and continue. If you were to go slightly on the white, again, just reverse and continue again. So that's done. All right, so let's go back to the table and have a look at it. That looks pretty neat there, isn't it? Did you see that curve has stayed? No issues at all. All right, so let's go to the table and add the others on. All right, so let's move on to adding on the little pieces of applique now. Okay, so what I'm going to do first of all is to cut this off here. All right, so let's move on. So taking my bits of cuts that I have prepared already earlier, just going to lay them there. And so what I'm going to do is to simply start adding them on using, I think I will back off a little bit so I have enough camera view. That's better. Right, so now remember we've got the stabilizer at the back and it has come on really nicely on there. So we're going to tackle the bigger area first. So I'm going to use my little small yellow circular here as my start, and I'm going to just take my glue. Remember, if you've got the adhesive paper, the transferable paper for applique, you can use that. Right, so I'm just doing a little bit. This fabric glue is quite good actually, so I'm just doing it to add in a little bit attached to it. And I'm deciding already what color concept I want my petals to be. So I'm going to go with the purple and pink for them, okay? I'm just going to use my finger and just spread it around. And obviously this spot here has been left purposely, so I'm just going to put it right at the top there. Now I'm not hanging it out. When I said hanging it, I'm not extending it over the end of the stem. I've literally put it on top of the stem, okay? You may wonder why. Well, I want to have enough room that I can make my petals in that area there, okay? So I'm just going to add a little bit more. Remember, if you're going to use this method,
just communication to the team so they understand what's going on, because like Adeline's raised it and saying, you know, they're referring to a Restore Plus, but it's a Physio Plus. What's going on? I don't think communication probably not been fantastic to the team. So raise a question.
and again, using my petal, just wiping that glue on, extending it. And I'm going to alternate colors, and I'm laying it right on top of each other.
Yeah, and that's what I said last week. When we changed,
I mean, if you want to include something different, you can.
Service and repair didn't get any calls for 2 days because it was all going through the happiness team. What we've done now is we've gone through and edited all of our templates, email templates that we send out to customers once we got a call, so they're calling us back directly. That's why that number was a bit skewed from last week.
I'm just shaping it up just so that the way I want it, so it lays nicely. And just adding a little bit of the glue again, and again it's just quite simple, you know, just use your imagination basically and add it. You can put the I'm doing it different ways. I mean, it really, there's no right or wrong to do this. It's however, you know, you feel happy doing this, so please don't make it an issue.
Wednesday and Thursday they had no calls. There was just one call. That was it.
I'm going to use
on the Wednesday, Thursday, on the 29th to the 4th that week, from what I can see, on the Wednesday and Thursday, we had no calls come for a bar in one. I was actually there at the time.
Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to play around with this a little bit, move that there, put that one there. I'm doing this because I just had a thought. I just had a thought of something I can do differently. So what I'm going to do is add a bit of a leaf extending there. It's not completely dried yet, so I'm going to add a leaf, and that's the variation of, you know, if you want to do it a bit differently, don't have to do it the way I do. You could change it up as much as you like.
Yeah, that's what I said, we're only talking about 2 days. On the Wednesday and Thursday, we had one inbound call, that was it.
Alright, so that is what that's looking like. Okay, now what I'm going to do now is to use my brown leaves here and put it to the side like so. I'm putting it right against the stem, as well as I'm going to take the green leaf. Now if you feel that it's a little bit big, this is the time to change the size of it. Don't just use it as it is. It's your design, remember. You can do however you want, make it, and you can place it down before you stick it so that you're happy with the placement. I'm just going to trim this up a little bit more neater there. That's it. And then what I'm going to do is take my orange and I'm going to just cut it straight across, so I have like a flat bottom, and just put it right against there, like so. Now ideally, if you want, you could add a bit more contrast of color in there, and I'm going to add, I think, a bit of a brown leaf. I'm going to trim it down a little bit smaller. Do remember, you don't need a lot for this. As long as you have, you know, little small pieces of fabric, you're good to go. It's an applique. Have fun with it. Don't take the joy out of it by, you know, feeling you have to do it perfect. Yeah, remember what I said. The small imperfections at the end of the day does not show up. All right, really does not show up. I mean, it's not the first time I've done applique in this particular way. In all honesty, is a way I've actually taught my students to do it, because buying the the other side of this, when buying that adhesive applique stick-on paper, is a little bit more expensive. When you're teaching, you know, it's a lot more. So trying to find a cheaper route is what we came up with, this particular idea. All right, and that looks good. That looks good in my eye. So what I'm going to do now is to add possibly something to the bottom. So I think I'm going to add some leaves right at the bottom there, and I'll do an orange one since I haven't done that. Again, please don't get caught up in the color concept. At the end of the day, you're using the same colors that's already around in the quilt, isn't it? So don't get caught up in. Just put it close by to that green stem. My iron is not on, I'm just using it to press it down.
See, those CDPs that are coming in, we're going to need to put one of those in the showroom as soon as possible, because that's got the warning on it.
Alright, so what I'm going to do now, let me just say this before I move on. Now notice here that I have incorporated the smaller bud that I started with, because I've laid the petals on top. If you're not happy with that, you could simply put the petals around first and then add the circle on top. So I'm looking for a smaller bit of fabric to cut. And I'm not seeing any. I think I've literally used all of the yellow now. Alright, so I'll have to demonstrate with another colour. So if you're unhappy with it, all you really need to do is take a smaller piece of fabric and just cut into a circle and stick it on. Yeah, the objective here is not to make anything a big issue. Just cut it into a circle. Remember, any color works, guys. Right, and you can put it on top there. I just want to show you the difference of what it looks like. So as you can see, the middle there is kind of hidden away. If I were to take this, I'll just add a little bit of glue on there so it lays flat, and add it to the middle. It sits on top. Gives it a different appearance, yes. I'm just using this here to like hold it down, because obviously there's little bits of glue on my finger. All right, and that's the difference. So you see the difference in the appearance. So either you wanted the petals on top or you want the center on top, but that is what it looks like without the stitching, and I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to do the same thing. I'm going to applique every area. Okay, that is it basically. So I think though, however, I may possibly change that. I don't like how that is hanging down, so I will pull it up, because it's not dried yet, it's still on there. Pull it up, and I think I may possibly leave it without, or yeah, I think I'll leave it without, to be honest. That's what it looks like without. Yeah, I'll leave it like that. Okay, or if I wanted to, I'm just giving you ideas here, you can add it going up that way, close to the stem. I'll just do as an example, like so. So you could add it there, which I think looks good as well. Right, so I think I'll leave that there. I will put some, I'll cut it a little bit shorter, just so that I think it fits. And I will just, you know, cut at an angle, make a curve. You know, remember, a leaf is not perfect, isn't it? It's just an, you know, a roundabout sort of decision you're making as to how you want this to look.
I didn't think they did that.
Don't be afraid to overlap if need be. Alright, I'm going to put the cover on this because I don't need it anymore, because it's dripping out. And put that there, stick that down. Alright, so let's go and stitch this on. Alright, so let's go stitch this done now. Alright, so I'm going to start at the bottom. I will not do all of it on screen, otherwise it will be way too long of a video. But I'm going to just continue all the way here, go down there, and then I'm going to go across to the orange leaf there. But the objective here is to take your time. This is not a rush. Just take your time, small stitches right at the end, and maneuver the actual whole border piece as you go. But just take your time, gentle stitches, and it will happen. As simple as that. It's not a rush. If you need to stop and pivot in the direction that you want it to go, just make sure that you leave your needle down so you can find your position yet again, and just continue. And all I am doing is just literally moving the border, the piece border, bit by bit. Just take your time. I mean, you can move a bit faster if you want. Yeah. But at the end of the day, you really just need to adjust it. Again, pivot, lift it up, angle in the direction that you want to go. Remember, it's a raw edge applique, so you will have edges of the actual piece of leaf sticking out still, depending. But just take your time. I'm going to go right down to the middle at the bottom because that's going to be, that area there is going to be catch in the seam allowance. So rather than break thread, and just continue and come across. Pivot yet again, put my needle down, and continue. Now, what I forgot to mention is that this is completely dry now, so I'm not worried about it moving. Okay, I just left it a couple of minutes or so, let it dry before I actually started, so I can do the zigzag stitch without any issues of it being raised. All right, I'm just going to pivot again, come all the way down. And as your confidence grows, you will be all right with it to move a bit faster. Now I'm going to break thread, and that is what it looks like. Okay, and on the back, you can see it as well. So what I'm going to do is on the back, I've used gray threads. Remember I spoke about this stabilizer? I mean, it doesn't, you can leave it on, but if you want, you can then raise it up and cut in between the areas where you haven't sewn. But to be honest, I'll just leave it on or do it without. It's neither here or there. So I'm going to continue with the others and I'll show you the completed once I've done. But that is the objective. Small zigzag stitches to enable you to finish it as neatly as possible. All right, so now that everything has been added on, what you need to do now, if you're so inclined, is to remove the stabilizer behind, and I'm just peeling it back because remember it was just pressed on there, so that's easily removed, and the excess I am just cutting it away. All right, no, I'm not worried about cutting it neatly. The only thing I would say at this stage is to be mindful that you don't cut the actual border. Okay, that's all I would say. Just be careful. But what I will do, so that's it there. All right, so that's it with the stabilizer. All right, so I have made one without the stabilizer. As you can see, it is just as beautiful. All right, in all honesty, I prefer it without, only because I don't have this step of having to remove the stabilizer behind. Okay, so I'm going to show you now how to place it around the border. I'm not going to stitch it on because I want to do it all in one go, and at this stage I've only made I think 4 or 3. All right, so I just want to show you how it's the vision of how I'm going to place it on the quilt top. So I have the quilt up in front of me here, and I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see what I'm referring to. All right, so here is the quilt. All right, I have added on a fabric here, batiks, to the quilt top itself, just to I didn't want to add the applique border directly to, so I just wanted a little bit of a stop with the focus of the eyes, and then to move on to the rest of the quilt. Now let's move on to the border. So you need to make 8 of these in total. You need to have 4 cornerstones. As I said, mine's are 5 inches in width by 12.5 in length. Okay, now in the middle here is going to go just a plain fabric. All right, the same background fabric we're using. I may just possibly add that there, but I wanted to add something more decorative to the corners. What I want you to take notice of is the way that I've curved it. I want that continuation going all the way around. All right, these are the 2 that I have made without the stabilizer at the back, and as you can see, it's just fine. So this is the idea of how it's going to curve. So the points that sews into the cornerstone, like this one here, is already stitched in together. That is what it's going to look like. Okay, you can see the green thread, and I've used it, as I said, on all of the other colors. Again, this does not bother me, but if you want to change yours to the different colors of each of the color, you may. But for me, I am happy to show up the green thread. That, to me, I like the contrast. All right, so that is what it looks like. This is another one here, as you can see. That's how it looks. So that is the objective of the corner of the quilt to look like, and I do love it. This is the one I made with you on this side here, and again you can see that curve coming together. I'm about to get started on this one, so that is what it's going to look like for the applique border. As I said, the quilt here is folded in half, so this is not the width of the quilt. I've just folded in half so that you can see what it looks like visually, and just added a weight in the middle there so it doesn't slide down. All right, but that is what it looks like. I'm loving it. It looks really beautiful, and I think it will help the overall presentation of the quilt. It just looks absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful, simplistic applique border. Now, you may be wondering, well, why didn't I just do a long one? I didn't want to. I just wanted the feature in the corner. If you want to elongate that throughout the whole quilt, I would definitely say do it in patches. That's what I would advise. It's up to you, but I think doing it in patches is nice. So that's what I wanted. In the middle of the quilt, I may add a different color fabric, or I may just go with my background, which I think I will just go with the background, to be honest. And then my boutique's border my small border here will be the final border for my boutiques. So the next time you see the quilt, it will most likely be finished. But I just wanted to bring this idea to you about the applique borders, and then you can take it from there. The cornerstones are going to be different colors, because this is literally what I have. I think I've got the green, the pink, or the bright pink, and the purple is what I have left. So I'm going to have 2 greens, 1 bright pink, and purple. But it looks beautiful. I'm loving it. It looks absolutely gorgeous. I think it really helps show off the quilt again. All right, guys, so this is it for the applique border. As I say, the next time you see the quilt, it will be completed, and then you can see the overall beauty of it. All right, so bye for now. Happy quilting. And if you enjoyed this tutorial, please give me a thumbs up for this one. Share the video out. It helps a lot with the channel, for the channel to grow. Okay, and don't forget about the Fabric Hut Rotary, titanium rotary blades. Very beautiful, very strong, very long lasting, will save you money. Okay, I reached out to them and asked them purposely for my subscribers so that you can have this offer as well, because I've been using them and it's really good value for money, and you're saving a lot from what I initially got it for. All right, guys. All right, so with that being said, bye for now. Happy quilting, and I'll definitely see you in the next video, guys. Bye now.